Hi, everyone. So for today's lesson, what we're doing is just going back to our problem paragraph and revising it. Almost all of you guys have things that you need to change, edit, add, revise on your paragraphs. And we're going to look at a few really strong examples to see if the students are on the right track, what they could add, and how we might look at it, and how you might go about revising your own paragraph. So, a few things that I saw consistently in a lot of the paragraphs are number one, kids don't know how to cite the source with underlining the article. So, we'll go over that. The other thing, number two, is a lot of students are putting solutions into this paragraph. It's really tempting because when you introduce a problem, you want to introduce a solution right away. The structure of this essay is problem in one paragraph, and then one solution in another paragraph, and another solution in the third body paragraph. So you really have to keep your facts organized. So everything that's about the problem is going to be in one area. Then you're going to identify the things that go with one solution, and then identify things that go with another proposed solution. So right now we're not talking about solutions at all. We're only focusing on problems. This is an excellent example, and the student did many things right. So let's go ahead and read it. Whenever I'm revising or editing, I always read the paragraph back out loud because it helps me to hear and to know that I'm not skimming. It helps me to slow down. So we have a huge trash problem in the US. He used the topic sentence that was provided. This problem affects wildlife, our oceans, earth, and people in many different ways. So that's a good sentence, that it affects people, wildlife, the oceans, earth, and in many ways. I notice he's got a red squiggly line here, which means it's spelled wrong. So I'm going to switch that to affects. Also, I'm noticing he has some capital letters on things that are not proper nouns. So you'll only see capital letters in the middle of a sentence when it's a title of something or a proper noun. So wildlife is a generalized thing. It's not a specific type of animal, so I'm going to make that lowercase. Also, our oceans, I'm going to make that lowercase. Then I'm going to read on. Did you know that according to the article, You Can Live Without Trash, that the average American produces 4.3 pounds of trash a day, and that is almost 1,600 pounds a year. So he's used a source, he cited the source, but he just didn't underline the title. So right here, we're going to underline this. Oh, whoops, I'm not sure what I just did there. Go back. I have a brand new computer and I'm not quite sure what just happened there. Okay, there we are. So you're going to highlight the title of the article, and you're going to go up here and click underline. He did a really good job capitalizing every word in that article title. You can delete this word that. You don't need it. Did you know that according to the article, You Can Live Without Trash, the average American. So I'm going to delete that word. The average American produces 4.3 pounds of trash a day, and that is almost 1,600 pounds a year. I'll just put a comma in here. He did a good job capitalizing the proper noun Americans. Good job. Think about that for a moment. I like using these multiple periods called ellipses to make a point, but you only want to do 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. That number is only for one person. There are about 7.594 billion people in the world. That is so much trash produced every year. So one of the things that I look for when I'm editing and revising is I look for places where I say very and so. I use those words a lot in my writing, and it makes me sound unprofessional. So I go back and I highlight those, and then I try to think of a more precise word that could go in its place. So instead of saying that is so much trash produced each year, he could say that is an enormous amount of trash produced. That is a huge amount of trash produced. However, whatever word he wants to put in there, but I wouldn't put so much or very much or a lot of. I would use something more precise. This environmental problem is also very destructive to our oceans. Destructive is a pretty powerful word, so I'm just going to take out very. We don't need it. When we use words like very and so, it makes our writing sound a little bit younger. According to, if you have to use plastic, use it more than once. So I know sometimes you can use quotation marks to cite a source. In this essay, I want you to underline instead, because we're using quotations from articles. Oh my gosh, I did it again. Let's see. I'll figure this out eventually. Okay, so the title of the article is, oh my goodness gracious. Okay, here we go. So the title of the article is If You Have to Use Plastic, Use It More Than Once. So I'm going to highlight that, I hope. Oops. Let's see. I think I might need to do these recordings on my old computer until I get accustomed to this one. We'll see. Okay, use it more than once. There we go. I'm going to underline the title. Then I'm noticing too that the student forgot to capitalize all of the words, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, sometimes you don't have to capitalize the little tiny words like to and a. You can get away with not capitalizing those, but I just usually do. Capitalize the M, the T, and the O. Okay. And then I'm going to put a comma, a space, and my quotation marks. Oop. Oh my goodness. I'm going to click off of that. A recent report has predicted that by 2050, there could be more plastic in the world's ocean than fish by weight. That is so sad and disturbing. We have to change this environmental crisis as soon as we can. I would leave this quote as my last quote because it's powerful. However, if I were this student, I'm going to just put some yellow highlight in here so he knows where to put it. I would look in my sources and find one or two more examples of the environmental problems. So I might go back to the Tracking My Trash article and put in some facts about how in big cities such as New York City, we end up having to spend a lot of money and a lot of resources to get that all of the trash that's produced in the city, truck it out of the city to a landfill 300 miles away, which is using a lot of fossil fuels for the gasoline and costing tons and tons of money to the economy. So you can use that as an example of the effects of having our huge garbage problem. And you can look at a couple of other articles and see if you can find more facts to add to this article. To this paragraph. I'm also going to post a new article for you that has some information about plastic and garbage and its effects on ocean animals so that you can add that information to your paragraph today. So remember, you're underlining the title of the article, you're using commas and quotation marks correctly, you're replacing words like so much and very with a more precise adjective, and you're making sure that you have multiple examples. This student had a very solid paragraph, but he does need, I would say, 2 more examples from articles that would support his idea that we have a huge trash problem in the United States. Okay, hopefully this helps. And I'm going to read you one more excellent example, and then I'm going to let you go. So I'm not going to revise this one very much. I'm just going to read it to you so you have an example. I'm just going to tab it over. We have a huge trash problem in the United States. Our country has been through a lot in the past few decades. From the rise of toxic pollution in certain areas to the ever-filling landfills, we have only done so little to help. I would probably revise that sentence. She can go back and do that later. We unknowingly started a problem too big to deal with on our own, I would say, or just individually. According to the video, You Can Live Without Trash, it states the average American produces 4.3 pounds of trash per day. That's almost 1,600 pounds per year. To put that into perspective, an average garbage truck that you usually see roaming through your neighborhood can hold 12 to 14 tons of trash, which means we each produce about a half a garbage truck worth of trash per year, which is absolutely absurd. I'm glad that she put her opinion in there after the quote. Much of that trash ends up in landfills and does not decompose instantly. According to the article Tracking My Trash, it states at landfills, trash is covered with dirt. More layers of trash and soil will be added over many years. Much of that trash won't decompose for decades or even longer. This means that some of our trash that we might have thrown away years ago is very likely still in a landfill, which is crazy to think about. Over the span of a decade, our trash has, in long term, accumulated to dying ecosystems. I might change this to caused dying ecosystems, a rise of pollution in our food chain, oceans being filled with plastic and harmful chemicals, a rise in climate change, and many more problems. Our planet has been dying right before our eyes, and I can't see the words underneath it, but we've only now come to realize it. So these two students gave you examples of a thorough paragraph. Both of these students could stand to add two more examples into their paragraph. I'm wanting a really long problem paragraph that's very detailed. But these were two excellent examples. Some of the work that I received yesterday was about 3 sentences long, and it just was insufficient information. So I want every single one of you guys to go back, look at your paragraphs. If you want to, you can rewatch this video and look at these students' examples again to get some ideas of how you might put your opinion into there and add more quotes. Good luck, and feel free to private message me